Hey everybody, Foley here for the weekly news recap of the 25th to the 31st of December, 2023. As you might imagine, there's not a whole lot of news this week. It being the end of the year, a lot of studios and PR houses and what have you have all, taken time off. Community has largely taken a lot of time off as well, so we don't have a whole lot to talk about this week. But I am going to give a quick channel recap at the end of this, so hang on for that a little bit. Anyway, the one update we have, and I talked about it yesterday as part of our look ahead at 2024, Stellar Blade has been delayed into 2024. I mean, at this point, if it hasn't come out, then yeah, I mean, by default, it's going to be delayed. Sony didn't necessarily announce that it had been delayed. It's mostly just that it was added as part of a PlayStation blog post that Sony put up that was announcing, here's all the games that are coming out, currently announced at least for 2024. The link directly to it, I think it is. Yeah, so Sony pointing out, like, here's some of the bigger games that are coming out at the beginning, at least, of 2024. So Tekken 8 is out pretty soon. End of January, new colors for your PS5. Helldivers 2 out beginning of February. New accessories. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth out at the end of February. Foam Stars, another Square Enix thing that's basically Splatoon. Some stage 2024. Rise of the Ronin, March 22nd, as well as Princess Peach Showtime and Dragon's Dogma, all coming out then. And then Stellar Blade there at the end, 2024. Some stage next year it'll be out, probably in the first half, because almost all of the things shown off here are the first half of 2024. The last Destiny 2 DLC expansion, what have you, before June. Oh, sorry, the beginning of June. So I'd say you're looking at maybe the first half, although it's probably a little bit too close to Rise of the Ronin. Might push it into the second half of 2024, but anyway. It wasn't necessarily announced that it was delayed, which is just, yeah, it's literally the last day of 2023 and it's not out. I wonder, has it been delayed? Anyway. Other news from Sony, the PlayStation Plus Essential tier is being refreshed in January. So on Tuesday, you'll be able to play Plague Tale Requiem, Evil West, and Nobody Saves the World. Plague Tale Requiem, we did a full Let's Play of last year. It's excellent. Sequel to Plague Tale Innocence. I thought it was very, very good. Clearly, they were given considerably more budget this time around, so there's a lot of really impressive environments and set pieces going on in the game. Do give that a shot, but do play the original first. Evil West, we played as part of my Foley Plays Games a Bit series, where we play newly released titles for a little bit. The little bit that we played on stream was fun, but the parts that I played off stream, I did eventually finish the game, was not. Its second two-thirds, the last two-thirds of the game are a bit of a slog, honestly. Has a strong start, but doesn't finish. And then Nobody Saves the World is kind of in a game I've been somewhat interested in playing. You play Nobody, and the Nobody can transform into lots of different creatures that you encounter during the game. So you transform into things like a donkey, a wizard, and so on, lots of different things. And then there's a Warframe pack or something for PlayStation Plus. Anyway, that will be Tuesday, I think. You'll be able to play all of those games. Right, it is now unfortunately time for the worst parts of the video game industry. Nope, the worst parts of video games, of course I got it wrong, very last one of the year. Worst part of video games, the video game industry. So this is a website created to sort of just wrap up, if you like, video games for 2023, highlighting a lot of the egregious shit that happened during the year. So starting off with the Video Game Awards, complete disrespect for the entire purpose of the show existing, which was awarding developers and not giving them basically zero time to do anything, but giving plenty of time for advertisements and largely for executives that were instrumental in making 2023 a very bad year for the games industry. 10,000 plus employees laid off in 2023. Some of the bigger layoffs, Hasbro cut a lot of their D&D team. A lot of that team would have worked on Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3. Congratulations, you put out a fantastic game. You're fired. Thanks, appreciate it. Unity being absolute fucking dumbasses earlier in the year, deciding to try to double dip and get people to both pay to use the license and then also pay for people to install your game. Saw a considerable share drop, which of course resulted in firing the people not responsible for it in any way whatsoever. Makes sense. EA, don't know. Why did they lose so many people? Who knows? Because I'm pretty sure EA Football Club, whatever FIFA has decided to call itself now, made a lot of money for them. ByteDance has wound up its video game arm. That's kind of where a lot of those disappeared to. Embracer Group, higher ups in Embracer Group made a big bet on this $2 billion deal with the Saudi prince. That did not follow through, and because of that, they fired the people not responsible for it in any way whatsoever. Makes sense. Epic Games bought Bandcamp for no reason and then sold it and fired a lot of people because of it. Thanks, appreciate it. Amazon still have not put out a video game, so this kind of makes sense that they've lost a lot of people. This is from Nicole Carpenter, senior reporter for Polygon. I have personally never written so many stories about layoffs from the industry. I've never heard from so many workers concerned about layoffs in the industry, which is interesting because the video game industry is notoriously volatile. The video game industry has a lot of ramp up and ramp down. It's a polite way of saying we're going to hire you on and then fire you immediately after the project is done. Love that job security. Great. Love that industry knowledge lost immediately on the end of a project and then having to build it up again. Would you go back to work for somebody who fired you immediately after a project was finished? Probably not. You're going to lose a lot of that knowledge. It would have been gained during the project. It's a very stupid way to go about things, but here we are. Can't cut into those profit margins, right? Speaking of profit margins, 2023 total global revenue for video games, $184 billion. Up 0.6%. When you're getting like billions, tiny, less than 1%, it's still a lot of money. It's still a lot of money. Tech layoffs in general, like the video games weren't exactly isolated or a isolated incident for tech layoffs. The tech industry in general suffered a lot of layoffs. Suffered a lot of layoffs is the way it's put. They were fired. People were fired for no reason. Laid off because they were hired. A lot of people would have been hired during the pandemic, the work from home thing, because it was cheaper time to hire in people. They didn't have overhead for offices and stuff like that, so they hired in a bunch of people, and now, it's suddenly becoming very expensive. Yeah, we're gonna fire everybody again. Hey, speaking of it being too expensive to keep people in their jobs, CEO net worth. John Riccitiello, remember the guy who basically tanked Unity? His compensation last year was $11.8 million. He has a net worth of close to $200 million. Android Wilson, or just Sterling calls them Android Wilson. Andrew Wilson, head of EA, his compensation this year was 20 plus million, but apparently that required them to lay off 1,000 people. ByteDance, we don't know what the salary is, but the estimated net worth is 200 million. Embracer Group, Lars Wingefors, who fucked up a $2 billion deal, has a net worth of 1.1 billion. Couldn't put his hand in his pocket. His hand in his pocket for that. And then Tim Sweeney, estimated net worth 5 billion, just buys companies for the laugh. And then shutters them. I know this news is this is from Hasbro's CEO. I know this news is especially difficult during the holiday season. Remember, they fired people after Baldur's Gate had won Game of the Year, so very close to Christmas. There's no sugarcoating how hard this is, particularly for the employees directly affected, but it is a lever we must pull to keep Hasbro healthy, estimated at 10.9 million salary. No, not last year, this year. Yep, can't take a hit to that. Certainly can't move that decimal point or something and have people keep their jobs. Company's K8 form indicates that there have been no reductions in the levels of executive pay, bonuses, or other additional remuneration in the company. So yeah, the lower downs got the shaft for the higher ups' decision making. Not even that, because Hasbro is even more egregious because they fired the people who weren't even like the wing of the company that was doing poorly was the toy side of things. It wasn't the Wizards of the Coast, the D&D people. They were doing great. D&D has never been doing as good as it has now. But they were the ones that got fired. Anyway. Highest selling games. Yeah, all these games made a shit ton of money, and then we still had people laid off. Hogwarts Legacy, plus $1 billion. Call of Duty, probably more than what's said here. Baldur's Gate. I mean, 209 million is still a lot of money. It's not even close to $1 billion. Right? Marvel Spider-Man. Again, we don't know the exact revenue because Sony doesn't have to disclose that, and Legend of Zelda similarly, Nintendo don't have to disclose that, but they sold a lot of units in and around their release date. They're like €70, $70. A lot of money. Highest paid CEOs. No surprise Bobby's in there, but Robert Anticol of Playtika. I think Playtika is like a mobile ads thing. Almost 400 million. Like, he's so far out from everybody else, it's kind of ridiculous. Bobby, 154. Even with all the sexual harassment stuff going on at Activision Blizzard, he gets a nice payday. Microsoft will pay him off to just fuck off for the rest of his life, hopefully. Anyway, Andrew Paradise from Skills with a Z. Good God. How does the CEO of a company that replaces S with a Z with a Z making 100 million a year? Andrew Wilson, and then again, big power gap, but still, this is way too much money for somebody who does basically nothing. And John Riccatello still in there, even though he tanked the entire company. Anyway, there's a lot more on that website. It's a very easy website to find. It's just wrapped.games. You can find all sorts of really horrible things about the video game industry going on there. Anyway, most of it having to do with executives getting too much money and lower downs getting nothing. Or less than nothing, getting negative money, getting fired. But there's some stuff there at the end about unions and some hope that things might turn around, but it's going to be a while. Anyway, moving on. So that wasn't the only shitty things happening in the video game industry. Xbox slammed for AI-generated art promoting indie games. So yes, Microsoft leaning full on into their OpenAI stuff. They have partnered with OpenAI, and you're going to be seeing a lot more AI-generative AI, as it's called. It's obviously not actually AI. But yeah, them promoting indie developers who, bearing in mind, artists and so on in the indie scene getting absolutely shafted by generative AI right now. Microsoft, Xbox, deciding to celebrate those people by not paying an artist to do this art. It's a really bad look considering ID at Xbox is supposed to be the human-facing team with a mega corporation championing individual creators and small independent teams. Same kind of teams that are going to be hit pretty hard by generative AI stuff. Well, it's definitely not Xbox using AI to promote indie devs, right? Pixel artists. Nothing says we don't care about indie developers like using generative AI. If you can't hire an artist to do advertising, I highly doubt you'll do it with independent developers. Yeah, so sentiment has been roundly considered to be a poor one. As a cheerleader for AI technology, Microsoft's role in this is especially egregious. The company's already promoting tools for AI-generated content in games. It has been promoting it. Xbox in general has been promoting it to use Microsoft's generative AI tools in your video games to, again, not pay artists. Microsoft's own internal environment report blamed the technology for a 34% spike in its water usage, cool down its racks and servers. 34, not 3.4%, 34%. Not only is it bad for the industry, it's bad for the environment too. Incredible. And then from Sam Barlow putting it pretty well about AI generated stuff. Really impressive that just as we were finally starting to address the climate emergency, we invented stupid ways to undo all of our progress. Excellent. Anyway, moving on. Alright, Sony quietly hired former Call of Duty bigwig and Deviation Games team, so this is kind of a weird one. So Deviation Games was announced So we're talking about the circumstances surrounding the recruitment are a bit curious, considering that Deviation Games is technically working on a AAA PS5 game for Sony, or at least it was, and now Sony has now directly hired some of its higher-ups. What's going on? Is Deviation Games even a thing anymore? So founded by some COD veterans, Deviation Games went on to sign a partnership agreement with Sony to work on a AAA PS5 project, which was ostensibly going to be a COD live service type thing. However, beyond a PS blog announcement, nothing ever came of the partnership, and the founder Blundell departed the studio he had co-founded. Rumors emerged that Deviation Games PS5 exclusive had then been cancelled. It's never been confirmed that's happened. Not even confirmed if Deviation Games is even still in business. After that, it was discovered that not only had Blundell is now employed by Sony directly, a large number of former Deviation Games employees are also working directly for Sony. Not clear which studio they're working with or anything like that. Many, if not all of them, ceased working for Deviation Games around the same time, which is of course poaching. Poaching a company that you are in partnership with is a bit disgusting, Sony. That begs the question of Deviation Games' existence and what it's working on, even if it still exists. So this is kind of just a weird, what's going on with this company? Are they even still in business? Is it just on paper at this point? Is it a contracting service now more than anything else? Do they actually work on their own games? Do they own the IP? Anything like that? Who knows? Anyway, we'll wrap up the last weekly news recap of 2023 with some really stupid things going on in the community, but it's pretty funny. User needed one more Steam point to reach 69,000. Nice, 12 points. Steam points, whatever the fuck they're called, and apparently Valve delivered for them. So a Steam user on Christmas Eve had a question: how do you earn just a single Steam point? As they were sitting on 68,999 points and just wanted the 1 point to hit 69,000 to make it funny for obvious reasons. Screenshot there. How do I get a single point? It's impossible, at least legitimately, to get a single Steam point. Just go look at your Steam account now. You're probably sitting on thousands of Steam points because there's really nothing to do with them. You just buy random cosmetic horrible shit for your profile that nobody looks at. Anyway, they came back a couple of days later to find out that, hey, the Steam balance is now sitting on 69,000. How did that happen? Then on December 25th, a miracle happened. The same user returned and posted that their Steam point balance had somehow increased by a single point. A bit of checking in and around their transaction service list and so on finds that Steam support adjustment had occurred and added a single point, letting them reach 69,000. So what happened there? It's Valve employee just went in and went, yeah, sure, here's a point for the laugh. So this is from a Valve employee was surfing Reddit at the time, I guess, and decided to form a Christmas miracle. Anyway, that's it for our news. There's no video to play here, really. We'll just stick it with Valve making 69,000 happen. Stellar Blade delayed into 2024. Not necessarily announced, is kind of obvious since it hasn't come out and is supposed to be coming out fairly soon. This is the last day of 2023 and it's still not out, so yes, it's 2024. Monthly games for PlayStation Plus Essential. They were pretty good, actually. Plague Tale Requiem and Nobody Saves the World is getting some pretty good critical reception. Evil West, personally, I didn't, and by the end of it, I didn't like it. But the beginning of it is fun, and if you persevere with it, maybe you will enjoy it. That's up to you. The Please Wrap It Up Wrapped.games website is both enlightening and also extremely depressing for this hobby that I enjoy. To find that its personal human cost is kind of disgusting, and the amount of greed happening at the top tier of the industry is pretty gross. Anyway, but sometimes Steam can give you a single point to make 69,000 happen. So, it's not all bad. It's not all bad, I guess. Right. As I said, this is the last channel update for the year, so some things to highlight that have happened in the last month or so. We've done our tier list for the year, so want to check that out. The VOD is over on YouTube now, youtube.com/Doom5. You can find it there. Um, we ranked all the games that featured on the channel in 2023. So to kind of clear up some confusion, these are the games that I played on the channel in 2023. It's not all the games that came out that year. I absolutely did not play all the games that came out this year. There were too many good ones. I'm not going to get to all of them. We did play a few that came out this year, but a lot of them are older games. Anyway, you can go check those out and see how your favorite game measured up, or if I even played it here. Chances are I probably didn't. Yesterday we did a look ahead at 2024. It's 90 games. Well, 90-ish games. One or two of those are definitely not coming out next year. Well, I don't know. I can hope. Why not? We checked that out yesterday on Steam. On stream. Destroyed my voice in the process. It's only really now recovering. But anyway, check that out. It's Twitch VOD at the moment. It's not available yet on YouTube. I need to do some background stuff before I'll be able to push that live, but it'll be up soon. Anyway, this is how we finished 2023. So this is the first half, 2023. This is how it finished. So we played full Let's Plays of Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom is there as a full Let's Play, but we didn't do a full Let's Play of it. Final Fantasy 16 at the time, we were working our way through, but has since finished. Golden Idol, Resident Evil 4, OG, Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1, the original Dead Space, Wanted Dead and Strayed Lights were done as one-shots. Resident Evil 4 Remake, which ended up being top of the tier list. Black Firewall, Bioshock, The Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, Deliver Us Mars, Have a Nice Death, Final Fantasy 1, The Chant, Forspoken, A Way Out. We did a PlayStation VR 2 showcase stream as well. Dead Cells, CanaQuest, which was a sponsored stream. Diablo, Season, Dordogne, Chia, After Us, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Evil West, talked about earlier. Monster Hunter World was there sometimes when I remembered it. 9 Years of Shadows, Adios, Planet of Lana, Storyteller, Scars Above. No Man's Sky was a standalone VR thing that we did. I quite liked it. Immortality and Cloudpunk, which is a few there. Obviously, we didn't get to. The second half of the year, we swapped in some new games. So Kane was a follow-up to Stasis. After Image, we finished Final Fantasy 16. Atlas Fallen was extremely disappointing, though I probably shouldn't have been surprised. I changed the art design as well for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, Resident Evil Code Veronica X, we only finished fairly recently. Bomber Cyberpunk, House of Ashes with Melwen, Little Gator Game, which was also a sponsored stream. Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals, Guilt. Sprawl is there, technically. You won't find it as a VOD because I did the whole stream with the mic muted. So I just didn't bother putting it on YouTube because that was extremely frustrating. Anyway, Hi-Fi Rush, Honkai Star Rail, Spirit and the Mouse. We're currently still working our way through Raincode, so that will carry through into next year. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, excellent game. That was also a top tier, S tier on our tier rank. Monster Hunter World continued to be there, hanging around. I have to remind myself every time. After Dream, The Sinking City, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, Stasis, Final Fantasy 2, Melvin again playing TMNT Shredder's Revenge, Final Fantasy 3, which we're currently working our way through. It Takes Two was also a co-op stream with Melvin, and Eternights and so on. So that's how we finished 2023. So a couple of things I just wanted to highlight, and some changes over the years. So 2022 was kind of when I started getting back into streaming, so this is kind of where we're going for historically. So we didn't play as many games this year. We're down 20% on games. However, we did play a lot more full playthroughs, full Let's Plays. They're up quite a bit, so that's kind of the hit that we took. We did a lot more one-shots last year, and we did fewer one-shots this year, but more Let's Plays, which I think is, for longevity, I think it's maybe a little bit better. The average Metacritic score, this is probably within the margin of error, but we hit an average 77 Metacritic last year, and we averaged at around 79, so maybe the taste in game is going up a little bit more, or that might just be an indication that 2023 was a better year in general. But also, a change in 2 points is not really massive. Open Critic is even less. It's only one change, so not a huge amount change there. The color codes here, I think you're probably all familiar with Metacritic's one, is that green is generally better than the yellow colored scores. Open Critic, it goes orange, purple, blue, green. So green are the really bad games. So there were 2 really bad games last year, and only 1 really bad game this year. You'll see which one it is in a minute. And then a few more excellent level games, less in the mid tier, and then less going on from that because we play fewer games. Metacritic. So according to Metacritic, the top 10 games that featured on the channel this year were Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the original Resident Evil 4, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Bioshock apparently is in the same stratum as all of these games. I disagree. Diablo also, the original. So bearing in mind, these games wouldn't have gotten new review since they released, you know. So 94 is what Diablo got when it released. Not like this year it got a 94 on Metacritic or whatever. Resident Evil Code Veronica X after that, then the Resident Evil 4 remake. The Resident Evil 4 remake should be jumping all of them, to be honest, because that's where I put it on my tier list, but that's personal preference. Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and Monster Hunter World. So Capcom getting a pretty substantial chunk of the top 10 this year, and most of that being Resident Evil, because we're starting, or rather continuing, my playthrough of the Resident Evil series. So obviously it's going to feature pretty heavily. The bottom 10, probably more egregious, so we'll do it in reverse order. Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 on 72. Bullet vs. Mars also 72. Evil West same. The Chant at 70. Atlas Fallen 69. Nice. That game does not deserve to be at the 69 number. It should be at 68. It does not deserve to be at the nice number. Guilt 68. Forspoken 66. Very disappointing. After Us 65. That's very low. I thought it was fine. To be fair, I haven't played it since the stream, so maybe it gets really bad later on or something. Scars Above 64 again. Like, it's a fairly middling game, and 64 is a bit low, IMO. And Wanted Dead at 58, yeah, that's earned. The worst game featured on our channel, according to Metacritic, is Wanted Dead. At a 58 Metacritic score. Everything except the gameplay is great. But for a video game, that's kind of bad. Anyway. Open Critic is much the same. There aren't too many real differences. It's really the bottom 10 that's kind of different. The top 10 is basically the same. Some of them have been swapped around. Tears of the Kingdom is at the top instead of Breath of the Wild, and then the Resident Evils are jumbled up a little bit. You'll also notice the older games don't make an appearance because Open Critic is a much younger publication than Metacritic, so it doesn't have that history of reviews and stuff like that. So some new games that made it into the top 10 then. Dead Cells, Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, the original Dead Space, and Immortality. I think Open Critic started in the PS3 360 era, so anything older than that, there won't be any reviews for. And then the bottom 10, Wanted Dead is still tippy top. 9 Years of Shadows made a feature, Cloudpunk, Sinking City, Atlas was already there. There's a lot of them at 69 though. There's a whole lot of nice numbers for Open Critic. I wonder if they do that on purpose. Anyway, we also made Affiliate this year, which is pretty great, because it opens up a lot of like community interaction with people. We get emotes, we get channel points, and all the stuff that comes with that. Stupid sound effects, and weird things that we can push towards community. Community drive things where you can put your channel points toward some big thing. Which I haven't really done, but it's something I've been looking into. Emotes were done by Phil Dragash. Find him over on Twitter. I've commissioned Phil to do a lot of art for the channel and also a lot of private art as well. Very good. I've always enjoyed working with Phil, and I hopefully will be able to work with him before, or in the future, rather. You can see the emotes here. All of them are there, available for you to use right now, except the very last one, because there's a limit to how many emotes I can put in. And Phil gave me 2 to use for IP, and I kind of felt the Tombstone one was a bit more fun. I don't know. I might swap in the other one since I have it. To laugh. You can also use your channel points to do various things with sound alerts and blurps and get me to sing the Snake Eater theme song and so on. Very funny things. And we started a Discord that is a bit quiet. I would like it to be a bit more active, but it's there, and I'm posting in it at least once a week for the schedule. And I try to get back to people if they mention me or talk about video games and what have you. But yeah, if you ever want more interaction outside of the streams, Discord is the place to do it. You can find it under my face over on Twitch, or you'll find it just Discord/Doomtrain5. You'll find me there somewhere. Anyway, I wanted to show this. This is something Phil has been working on for the next batch of Final Fantasy games. The audio will play for this. Should be able. This will be for Final Fantasy 4 to 6. Kind of banking on my name, the Doom Train, or the Phantom Train, different translations in Japanese. It happens in Final Fantasy 6 that you're able to suplex the train. I just think it's very funny, and he put in some really stupid sound effects that I wanted to have in it. So, appreciate that, Phil. It turned out really well. Looking forward to more people seeing it. Whenever we actually get to Final Fantasies 4, 5, and 6. Moving on. Anyway, scheduling. So the schedule for next week looks as so. We've got two games that are still in running. So Final Fantasy 3 as part of my Final Fantasy playthrough series, and Master Detective Archives Raincode as part of the Foley Fables series. The Foley Fables are generally more laid back, usually puzzly type games, but they're generally something that have a very strong story focus, and the gameplay is sort of supplemental to it. And then Resident Evil, again, we're continuing the Resident Evil playthrough, so this will be the Resident Evil Remake HD. So this is the original Resident Evil game that was remade for the GameCube and then HDified for PS3 and higher. Still no stream on Friday because we're still in holiday mode and I have something to do on that Friday. And then Saturday we're going to start our Let's Play of My Friendly Neighborhood. It's something I've wanted to play for a while. It is a first-person Muppet survival horror game, which just sounds hilarious, and I've liked everything I've seen about it. So I'm excited to play that. And then we have a tentative plan, bingo card, whatever you want to call it, for next year. So 2024, these are the games we're going to be looking at trying to fit in. These are going to be all Let's Plays. So I'm not putting in the games that were going to be one-shots. That will be part of the Foley Plays Games a Bit stuff, because I think it just clogs it up. I think it makes it a little bit more obvious, and hopefully I won't have to split this into two images like I had to do for 2023. So I might just do a separate one for the one-shots. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. Anyway, the plans. So some of these probably won't happen because they're scary. Outer Wilds is a scary game to try to stream, so yeah, I might make that like a community push thing. If you really want me to do it, I will, but it's a scary one for me. Darksiders 2, I've been wanting to do it because we did Darksiders 1 ages ago, like before I took a break from streaming, but it's long overdue to continue that. The original Witcher, I don't think a lot of people have played, and it's janky as fuck, so there's a reason why nobody really plays it, but I would hesitate to call it a good game, but I think it has some fun elements to it. Death Stranding 2 will be out maybe next year, probably the year after. Kind of want to get that out of the way. Bayonetta 2, again, is a follow-up to Bayonetta 1, which we played 2022. Arkham City, similar. Arkham Asylum we played in 2022. Cyberpunk is good now, apparently. Now I guess it's the time to get into it. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, I've just been wanting to play recently, so I'm giving myself an excuse to do it. Final Fantasy 4 and 5, you'll see, is also there. That's mostly just we're going to continue the Final Fantasy series playthrough. Broken Sword is a point-and-click game that I really like, and I just want to play it again. Alone in the Dark is a new release for next year, and I'll be interested to check it out. It's a survival horror thing from one of the OGs. The last time they tried to reboot Alone in the Dark, it did not go well, so we'll see this time. Maybe it'll be different. The Lollipop Chainsaw remake, remaster, whatever it's going to be, is also similarly a new release next year. Lollipop Chainsaw is one of the first Let's Plays I did. It's also one of the more popular Let's Plays. It is routinely at the top for like YouTube says, hey, here are the most played videos of your last 30 days or whatever. It's almost always Lollipop Chainsaw. The Inquisitor is a new release. It looks janky as fuck, but it reminds me a lot of the original Witcher game, which is also why the original Witcher's on the list, because I saw the Inquisitor and went, yeah, that's why I should play the Witcher. Anyway, it has a very dumb setup where Jesus, instead of being crucified, decides, nah, I don't want to do that, and just comes down from the cross and institutes a totalitarian state on the entire planet. Very dumb. I'm definitely here for it. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC, the Golden City, or Torna, the Golden something like that. Anyway, it's a DLC thing for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which was a substantial Let's Play that we did in 2022. So I've been meaning to continue that. Dishonored is a game I keep going back to and wanting to finish, but then get frustrated with some of its mechanics. So I'm going to try it. If I stream it, maybe I will actually force myself to finish it. Locomotive is a new release for next year. It's giving me pretty strong Monkey Island vibes. It's somewhat a jokey Murder on the Orient Express. That will be interesting. Resident Evil 0 we will get to after the original Resident Evil remake, which is also there on the list. And Resident Evil 5, I think, is there somewhere else. Yeah, down the bottom under Diablo. Under the Waves is a Quantic Dream choose your own adventure type thing that doesn't involve David Cage. So maybe that will be good. Warhammer Space Marine, the original Space Marine 2 is out next year. And I've been somewhat getting into Warhammer games, at least. Maybe not the Warhammer tabletop game itself, because that's a can of worms I don't want to open, because I know I'll get, fiendish about it, and I know what I'm like. I'm just going to leave that door closed. But the games are fun. Hollow Body is a game I've kickstarted. Sorry, it's a game I have contributed to the Kickstarter. I'm not going to say I kickstarted the game. That might be out next year. We'll see. It's a kind of throwback to the original Silent Hill survival horror type games. So that'll be fun. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, the original. The sequel is out next year. And I've never played the original. And I like vampires. It seems like a no-brainer. This, again, though, is one of the scary ones. And not because I don't want to play it. This is more getting it to fucking run is a pain in the balls. That I've seen anybody who's ever done a Let's Play of it or done one-shots or anything like that. They're all like, holy shit, this took forever to get working. So we'll see. Final Fantasy we already talked about. Post-Trauma, I know you can't really tell from the thumb art. That's meant to be Post-Trauma. They need to fix their art or whatever. Post-Trauma is another, it's more of like a modern survival horror type thing, but it's definitely using some sensibilities from the older Resident Evil, Silent Hills, that kind of thing. I'm curious, and I'm also not entirely sure if it'll actually come out. Monster Hunter World, it's still there. It's hanging around. I'll get to it at some point. I put it smack down in the middle of the fucking image this time, so I can't forget about it. On Your Tail is a new game coming out next year. It's a detective mystery thing that uses kind of dioramas and like tactile placements for figuring out crime scenes and stuff like that. And it looks interesting. Master Detective Archives Raincode is ongoing. Bloodlines 2, as I mentioned, with Bloodlines 1, it's coming out this year at some point. Or, sorry, next year at some point. I'm already in 2024. Heaven's Vault is another scary game that I really want to play. It's by Inkle. It's very kind of free-form, exploratory kind of thing. One reason I'm a little reluctant to it is that it has no voice work, but it has a lot of dialogue. That's a lot of talking for me. We'll see, but it is a very good game, and I kind of want to highlight it a bit more for people. Replaced is potentially coming out next year as well. I've kind of liked everything I've seen from it, and I'm really interested to play it. But I might be able to, because I think it's an Xbox exclusive. But we'll find out. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It's been ages since there's been a new Prince of Persia game, and this is kind of going back to the original Prince of Persia games, which were side-scrolling type affairs. I'll be curious to see how it plays out. It's here as a full Let's Play thing. I'm debating whether or not it will be. That's gonna more or less depend on how the first play of it feels. Diablo 2, we played Diablo last year. This year, fuck. I'm fucking time traveling. Played Diablo this year. I had never played the original Diablo, and it was enlightening to see how some things they kept and some things they discarded. Diablo 2 I've played to death though, so Diablo 2, this is the resurrection version. This is like the HD port that came out recently enough, which I haven't played yet. I'm gonna see how that's like. Banisher's Ghost of New Eden is the next thing from Don't Nod's Vampire team. We played through Vampire last year, a full Let's Play of it. It was a game where you played a vampire, so obviously I was going to play it. You don't play a vampire in Banishers, but I liked what I played of Vampire, so I want to see what's next from that team. Stasis Bone Totem has been getting incredible critical reception for its writing, for its atmosphere, and so on. We have played already the original Stasis and Kane, the in-between game. So yeah, I just want to see more from it. To be honest, I started playing those because I heard so many good things about Bone Totem, but now we're getting to Bone Totem. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is a game I've been wanting to play properly for ages. And I think at this point, if I don't put it on stream, I won't play it. Vanillaware's next game, Unicorn Overlord, is out 2024 as well. I would like to not get through 13 Sentinels because I just want to experience it as well, but I do want to play it. Okami is there. Okami is there all the time because I always want to play Okami. I just need to find time to do it. The Rise of the Golden Idol. We did a full playthrough of The Curse of the Golden Idol this year. And it's a very, very good puzzle game. So yeah, I want to play more of it. We talked about Resi 5. System Shock remake. I wanted to play this year, 2023. This is also a game that I helped with the Kickstarter. I keep saying helped. I put money to it. Anytime I say that, it means I just put money to it. I'm not there in the community helping out or whatever. I couldn't get it to run on my Steam Deck, or at least not satisfactorily. So yeah, there's going to be a console port potentially next year. So hopefully it'll, the port will go well and it'll run nice and smoothly, and we can play it on the PlayStation instead. Beautiful Joe. So a viewer, chatter, Lifted Silverado, asked me to play Beautiful Joe. So okay, I will. I haven't played it before, but I've always wanted to. It's one of the few Capcom games I haven't gotten around to playing. Yeah, I'll make it work. Figure out how to get it working. Jusant is also a Don't Nod thing that I've been wanting to play. It's a climbing, somewhat puzzly type thing that we played a little bit of during the Steam Next Fest. So yeah, we're gonna do a full playthrough of that because I really enjoyed it. Tomb Raider is a Let's Play I started a long time ago and then abandoned. And it's kind of been sitting in the back of my head that I want to go back to it. So we're gonna do that possibly next year. Pentiment is a holdover from last year. I wanted to play it, I just didn't get around to it. Hopefully this time. My Friendly Neighborhood, as I just mentioned, we're going to start it on Saturday. Still Wakes the Deep is the next game from the Chinese Room, who are also putting out Bloodlines 2 next year as well. 2 games from them on the list. Still Wakes the Deep is it's got Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. It's the same team, same developer. It seems like it's a bit more of an intense, more horror-focused more horror-focused game than Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Directive 8020 is the next Dark Pictures thing. I'm sort of just guessing it'll be out next year. I don't know. There's no release date for it or anything like that. Supermassive are working on too many games right now, and I think they're possibly gonna feel the burnout, the brunt of stretching themselves a little too thin. We'll see what happens. Inscription, Melvin has asked me to play it, so okay, I haven't played it before. Like, it's very easy to get me to play the game. Just ask me to do it, and if it's a game I wanted to play anyway, it'll probably happen. And then the scariest one of all, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, is there at the bottom. We've done a full Let's Play of Breath of the Wild this year. I'm a little burnt out on Zelda. This particular type of Zelda. I'm debating whether to do Tears of the Kingdom for 2024 or push it out to 2025. I'm still thinking about it. The way this works. So what games are you picking? Because I'm saying maybe and so on. The way this works is I randomly choose games after we finish one. So we'll say My Friendly Neighborhood. Once we finish My Friendly Neighborhood, I will randomly pick a game from an equivalent list. There's different series. We have the Fully Fable series again, which is more story focused, and then we have the Final Fantasy and Resident Evil ones. They're kind of set in stone. I know the order I'm going to do those in. It's logical. Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 5, Final Fantasy 7, and so on. Although, having said that, Final Fantasy will probably start jumping around a bit in the timeline because some of those games are enormous, and some of those games are very samey, and I don't want to be doing them back to back. So, like Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 played very similarly. I don't necessarily want to play those back to back. And then the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, again, very samey and also not good. So I don't necessarily want to be playing those back to back and so on. And I did very stupidly put Final Fantasy 14 in that list, and that's an ongoing MMO that isn't finished yet. So I should probably start that soon. Anyway, Resident Evil though is set. We're gonna do it in release order. It's not really gonna change. And then there's the standalone Let's Plays that are just, they don't really have a series. They're just games I like or possibly think I might like. And out of those, we'll just randomly pick from a list. And I have a tool that I use that is just a spinner thing. And I spin it a couple of times, and whichever one has come up the most is the next game. Assuming I don't go, nah. I reserve the right to go, nah, not right now. I don't want to play that right now. But I'm going to try to not do that. Put it that way. Anyway, that's the plan for next year. Right. That's it from me for 2023. Oh, nice, that rhymed. Anyway, I'm going to have to come up with something else for next year. That's it from... Or, no, definitely can't do that. Okay, anyway, that's it for 2023. You'll see me again on Tuesday. Schedule. You see me again on Tuesday for Final Fantasy 3, continuing the Final Fantasy playthrough series. Wednesday, Fully Fables, Master Detective Archives Rain Code. We're still fairly early in that game, so you've got plenty of time to catch up on the 2 streams we've already done. Starting Resident Evil on Thursday. You can get in right as we begin on Thursday. No stream on Friday. My Friendly Neighborhood again, we're just starting it on Saturday. And then we'll have the weekly news recap at the beginning of the year, which again, probably won't be a whole lot of news. We'll find out. That's it from me. As I said, there is the tier list and the 2024 look ahead to see what games are coming out. There's going to be more than what's there, obviously. And even games we know more than what's going to be there, because I don't like every game that's going to come out. We're not necessarily going to agree on what games are worthy of looking into. Your mileage may vary, etc. Anyway, I did want to say before I go, a big thanks to Phil for all his help in the art, and then a big thanks to people in the community. So Melwin26, who's been really helpful off stream. You know, he's been a very good friend to me. Even personally, not just through streaming, but then also the co-op streams we've done together. It's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed dropping in on their stream and then dropping in on mine. It's been a lot of fun. Doom Train Inc. Name Buddies, which is so random. It's just so strange that we had the same name. It's been great seeing you drop in to the stream and chatting and keeping me company. And the occasion that I can get into your streams. Sorry, I'm not there a bit more often. But they're always very welcoming and I always appreciate it. Taquita Banana is always very enthusiastic when they join the chat. I know you've been busy with school, educational stuff. It's great. That takes priority. Focus on that. But when you do drop in the stream, I always appreciate it. Otto Mackay, I think, watches a lot and lurks, but occasionally they're in the chat. And again, thank you. Appreciate it. And then newer people, Lifted Silverado, who's started joining me for Resident Evil stuff. Great. I like talking to you about the older Resident Evil games and that kind of thing. We see more of you. Feel free to jump into the other streams as well. And anyone, honestly, anyone who has dropped into the chat. There's the reason I stream and not just play these games by myself at home off stream is because I like talking to people about video games. So more of that. And feel free to drop by the Discord, because you don't have to wait for streams to chat. Right, I'm gonna head off. Have a good rest of your year. get to use that now. And also see you next year. I also get to use that too. Stupid dad jokes. Right. Not even a dad. Anyway. I'm gonna go. Bye.